Let's now bring in John Allen, former Canadian ambassador to Israel and Spain. Ambassador, thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
My pleasure, actually.
So let's just start with what we are learning with the UNRWA, the funding that has hit a pause from several nations, including Canada. The latest to join that is the UK and Finland. There are shocking allegations, as we know, that members of this agency were involved in the October 7th attack by Hamas on Israel. What do you make of all of this?
Well, there's no question that the news was shocking, extremely unfortunate, and we're not exactly clear yet on how these people were involved, whether they were actually involved in the attacks, whether they provided information, whether it was a combination of both. Whatever it is, the UN is committed to investigating it, has terminated the employment of these people, and has committed to prosecuting them if they're found guilty. I think at the same time, we have to remember there's 13,000 UNRWA employees in Gaza providing health, social assistance at this difficult time. And one would hope that one doesn't tarnish the entire UN system and all of UNRWA because of what has happened, which is unquestionably shocking and a very difficult moment, both for the UN and for UNRWA to have to deal with this in the midst of taking care of almost 2.2 million people in Gaza.
Some allegations, of course, are also going on to say that they are providing shelter to many of the people linked with Hamas. Of course, all of this needs to be investigated, sir, an independent investigation, as we understand. But your take on Israel's reaction to it, now saying that this agency as a whole needs to be replaced. Do you think Israel is going too far with that?
Well, I think it's important to realize that UNRWA provides and has provided since the early 1950s, late 1940s, as I said, health, education, and social assistance to these people. If UNRWA wasn't providing those that absolute needed relief and education, then it would be up to Israel to do so as the occupying power or as the power that has control over the borders, air, land, and sea of Gaza. And I'm not sure that Israel wants to take over that responsibility.
Right.
Somebody will have to do it. We know that Hamas isn't doing it, they're taking care of themselves. And we've got a population that has one of the lowest GDP per capita income levels in the world. So I think if we're going to get rid of UNRWA, we better have some good ideas about how we're going to replace them, especially as we're going to have to do some serious reconstruction in Gaza once
Right.
this war stops.
I'm also very curious to understand from your point of view, sir. Last 24 hours, it's been more than that since the ruling really came out. We have seen multiple reactions across the board coming in from nations who support Israel, who don't support Israel. But according to you, if you look at what's happening on the ground, how has anything changed at all in the last 24 hours after that ruling came out?
Well, as we know, the ruling did not call for a ceasefire.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not going to see a ceasefire. It implicitly acknowledged Israel's right to self defense. But at the same time, it called on Israel to reduce death and injury, to increase humanitarian assistance, and to cease and prevent and punish any incitement. I think we've heard from the prime minister that on that last point, he wants his ministers to keep their mouths shut, and that would be a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's a bit too early to know whether we're going to see an increase in the humanitarian assistance and whether Israel will do what they say they've been intending to do,
Right.
which is move from massive bombing and artillery to more targeted approach.
Right.
Now, of course, the Americans have asked for both increased humanitarian assistance and for fewer deaths and injuries, so that's
Right.
consistent with what the court wanted.
Indeed. All right, we'll leave it at that for the moment. Of course, all eyes on that very crucial meet next week as well, when the UN Security Council will meet. But for the moment, John Allen, former Canadian ambassador to Israel and Spain, appreciate your time, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks very much.